So this particular CodingBat question is a lot like the question no 14 or no 14 rather. You'll see if we go back to no 14, I think it was maybe in Array2, I want to say. If we go to Array2 and we go to only 14, yeah, it was only 14. So for this one, we were given an array of integers and we wanted to return true if every element is a 1 or a 4. So essentially what the approach there was, we started off by sort of assuming that every element was in fact a 1 or a 4. And then we traversed through the array and we said, okay, if at any given point in time, any element was not a 1 and was not a 4, in which case it would either be, another element like 3 or 2 or something, then we would set it to false and we wouldn't change it back to true. There just isn't anything in this loop for this array which would sort of change contains back to true. And so that's sort of what we're doing in the case of Array1. And we were looking at, I think we were looking at, what were we looking at? I think it was, one second here. Yeah, so we were looking at has23. And so the thing with this one is, so we just sort of, we have a Boolean variable, again, called contains, or it could really be called anything, but it's just to keep track of whether or not it does contain. So we start by assuming that it does contain a 2 or a 3. So then we'll use a for loop as we did in the last example with no 14, and we increment I by 1 each time, of course. And we say, all right, well, if nums of I, as we're iterating, if nums of I equals 2 or nums of I sort of equals 3, then in that case, if nums of I equals 2 or it equals 3, then we'll set contains to false, and we just won't change it after that. It was true here, and it's going to be true when we return it. But in the middle, if it senses a 2 or a 3, then we'll return false. But I think it's the other way around. I think we're supposed to return true if it does contain a 2 or 3, right? So we'll start off thinking that it doesn't, right? And if it does at any given point, we'll return true. And it says not a statement. So what is not a statement? Contains is equal to true, yeah. And you'll see here that we get all greens.